warm welcome in the new year 2021, and let's hope it's all going to be a better year for everyone. My name is Tina Kazut. I'm here with my guest Alasdair Ireland, and this is a very important video for the fourth of the series of practical resource management. And this time Alasdair and I will be discussing the crucial role of leadership and teamwork. The study of accident reports often shows us that failures in these areas prevented opportunities to avoid the accident. So today we plan to cover some simple and straightforward ideas about understanding leadership and teamwork that could make an immediate difference to safety and performance. So when we started talking in the previous video about practical resource management, Alasdair, you mentioned the 4 core elements which typically offer areas for improvement. Can you remind us again what they were?
Of course, yeah. There's communications, which we spoke about, leadership and teamwork, which we're about to have a look at, situational awareness, and planning and decision making. And we discussed how in our approach to resource management, we can make some simple improvements in each of those areas. Mm-hmm.
We also talked about the context and reality issues last time, as well as the importance of communications.
Yeah, absolutely. And while it is convenient in some ways to study all of these things individually, it's important to get to the point that they all influence one another and they need to happen together for optimum performance.
So this time you were going to look at some of the leadership and teamwork issues. And once more, like the last time we did communications, and this also sounds like a huge subject.
Yeah, it is. And I think what we can do here realistically is look at some key points which we know could be better understood.
That sounds really good. So maybe as we get started, could you say why we consider leadership and teamwork in the same session?
Of course, yeah, sure. They're essentially, it's a two-way street. There's lots going on in each direction and they're so closely related. Mm-hmm. Team members support leaders as well as team leaders supporting their team. Getting this virtuous circle spinning effectively can be hugely beneficial. And there can be several teams operating at the same time. Leaders in smaller teams may be team members of larger teams. So leadership as a function isn't just a role for a single person in an organization. Leaders provide direction and shape to the activities of the team. And without this direction, we don't have a team. We just have a bunch of guys and girls. Mm-hmm. And while we can see that there are important leadership behaviors needed for success, there are also team member behaviors needed for success too.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could ask you, Tineke, if you had a puncture on your car, how long would it take you to replace the tire?
Well, I think me personally would take a day, but let's say realistically, normal persons would take about 20 minutes.
Okay, and if you had to change all 4 of them, how long would that take?
So each tire wouldn't take 20 minutes because they get faster. You get faster if your tools will already be spread out. So maybe an hour.
Okay, so 1 hour. So if there was 20 of you, divide that effort across 20 people, mm-hmm. You'd be down to 3 minutes, yeah?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, so a Formula 1 team of 20 will change 4 tires not in 3 minutes. In fact, they don't even need 3 seconds. Yeah. And of course, a lot of this has to do with equipment and procedures and practice and so on. But what we're really seeing here is the benefit of the team, teamwork and synergy. And we can read a lot of these ideas across into our more normal work too. But a feature of strong teams is competent, empowered, and well-trained team members all doing the right thing at the right time.
So are you saying that you're minimizing the role of the leaders and placing more responsibility on the team members?
No, I don't think so. Eliciting the correct behaviors is a leadership role. And one of the real challenges here is doing this in a sustainable way.
Yeah. Well, I think we are all aware of the old-fashioned view about leading, which we'll still see in a lot of cultures today, that what the leader says needs done, and then the team gets on and does it. But that's not the best case, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, that approach really constrains the potential effectiveness of the team. Sure, the leader's always accountable for the end result, but tapping into all the team potential is vital for high performance. When we last talked about communication last time, I mentioned that in some cases, the only missing link, that the key to solving the problem, could be held by someone potentially quite junior.
Yeah.
But that person might not have the belief to speak up. And I mentioned that resolving this was a leadership issue around setting the context, the tone, the environment.
So everybody in a team needs to be assertive, not just the leader.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone has contribution to make, may be vital. And so people need to feel able to speak up, and setting the environment where that happens is a challenge for leaders. And it's difficult, and we mustn't underestimate it, especially where we have multiple cultures within the same team.
Yeah. So you've explained how the input by team members might help the overall performance. What about things that are clearly just a leader's responsibility?
Sure. Well, high standards is one, and setting those standards. Of course, he wants everyone to follow with similarly high standards, but these are established by leaders who need to monitor and establish where improvements are required. Example setting is another, modeling those high standards for others. Monitoring and adjusting direction is another. Leaders need high levels of situational awareness to get ahead of the problem. But this situational awareness is optimized by effective teamwork. Yeah. Decision making is another responsibility. Some decisions will be unpopular, but the good situational awareness developed through good team working makes decisions more informed and therefore more easily justified as part of the communications effort. And in established teams where high levels of trust exist, then this form of explanation is less likely to be required.
Yeah. I noticed you said earlier about doing things in a sustainable way. What do you mean by this in a teamwork or leadership setting?
Well, in some ways, the leader has a balancing act to perform. The task must be completed, but the team also needs to be developed and to be sustainable. There's no point in a team completing a task exhausted and no longer able to perform. So the leader needs to balance this, and the individuals that make up the team, each of them have their own strengths, weaknesses, development needs, and so on. So being understanding and supportive in this area will bring long-term benefits, and so also needs to be considered by leaders as they balance this equation. And the balance can vary with time. It can be legitimate to flex styles. In times of emergency, clearly the task must take priority, but in more routine times, it may be more appropriate to make these longer term investments in individuals or in the team as a whole. And I think it would bring benefits if we could get more of our operational leaders to see the nature of this balance and to be more conscious about how they manage it.
Yeah, it's becoming even clearer of how all these key pillars are connected together. The right leadership environment helps good communications, which in turn means situational awareness is better all around, and that improves the decision making. And these examples are such as straightforward, simple ideas, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. But I guess that once more, like last time, you haven't even scratched the surface on this topic. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. But I think as our time is limited, we should probably stop here and maybe dig into some of this more in another session, because I think you're keen to discuss something else next time.
Yes, let's look at another key pillar for practical resource management, and that is situational awareness. Would that work for you?
Absolutely, yeah. Look forward to doing that.